But we are going to switch gears here on the network. I told you we have an exciting day because we have an update right now in the Paul Manafort case out of Virginia. You might remember that President Trump's former campaign chair is under some pretty hot water. He's facing bank fraud and tax evasion charges in relation to his work as being a lobbyist and consultant in Eastern Europe. So let's talk a little bit more about this with our man on the scene, editor at Law&Crime, Colin Kalmbacher. Colin, great to have you here.
Howdy, Jesse. How's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Of course. So where are we in the case? I think closing arguments have happened today. Can you tell us?
Yeah, so we are right in the middle of closing arguments today. There was a wide expectation that maybe we would get to both of those before lunchtime, but Judge Ellis had a previous sentencing hearing that he had to get through. That ran a little bit long. So we only got through the prosecution's closing today, led by Greg Andres, and he reserved about 17 minutes of his time. We're going to reconvene at 1:30 for the defense to make their closing arguments. And, of course, they're going to be all about Rick Gates. Today, during the prosecution's argument there, they did make a few references to Mr. Gates on and off as necessary. But most of this was about Paul Manafort's lies. You heard that word perhaps more than anything, maybe second only to the word Manafort. It was just, he lied about his money, he lied to keep his money, he lied to get more money when he was running out of money, he lied to his bookkeepers, he lied to his accountants, he told his assistants and his attorneys to lie for him. Basically, this is the story, and this is the narrative that Greg Andres has been working with today.
We talked so much about the prosecution's case. What did the defense try to do when they had the opportunity? Was it just blame Rick Gates and say, hey, I was just following his lead about what I should do. I'm an innocent bystander here. Or was there something else they were trying to argue as well?
That was more or less it. It was, like I said, it was almost all about Rick Gates, quite a bit of focus on what the prosecution repeatedly, or the defense rather, repeatedly referred to as the secret life of Rick Gates, with a little bit of a harsh undertone there. And that, of course, was the fact that Rick Gates had a flat in London that he kept from his wife, and he had a handful of mistresses over the course of many years, embezzling from Mr. Manafort to pay for his secret life, or, well, there was a bit of a contention there. Maybe he was only embezzling from Mr. Manafort to pay for his family. Not really a huge issue, but that was essentially the defense's focus. There was occasionally an opportunity where they might have had a chance to, say, cast some doubt on why were these accountants and bookkeepers seemingly going along? Why weren't they asking better questions, more detailed questions over the years? But they really didn't get too much into that. It was almost solely, let's put it on Gates. This is what they previewed in their opening statements, and it's more or less what they stuck to as well.
So as we come to the conclusion of this case, you've been there every day reporting back to us and doing a terrific job about that. My question is, has it been easy to follow this case? In other words, if it wasn't Paul Manafort, would it be really interesting to follow these complicated nuances of spreadsheets, and we're talking about tax evasion and bank fraud? Is it an interesting case to be there in the courtroom?
Well, I mean, I guess there's that myth about the right brain and the left brain, and I suppose if you're the one that's supposed to be more math and numerically inclined, then yeah, it could be on its face pretty easy to understand, pretty interesting. If there wasn't the allure of President Trump's former campaign chairman, I don't know. And I think that maybe you're getting to the broader question here of, has the jury been able to understand these things? Did it seem that way? Honestly, it's a really rough call there, a tough call, I should say. Oftentimes the jury was taking notes. They looked attentive, but I've heard from other reporters on and off that, and seen them this occasionally. Yeah, maybe they were tuning out during some of the dry as the Texas sand tax documents, bank and loan documents, profit and loss statements, ledgers, things of this sort that most people who can't afford $100,000 a year accountants never have to really encounter much in their lives. So that's an open question.
Colin, we have about 20 seconds. I'm going to ask you the million-dollar question. Some analysts have said that he might take a plea deal if it's on the table before it goes before that the jury has a chance to vote. What do you think?
I'm going to go ahead and echo my opinion throughout this case. They got him dead to rights before the secret life of Rick Gates was even a question. The paper trail, like Andres said, the star witness in this case is the documents themselves. So, you know, if he's smart, he'll take that plea deal before the jury comes back with a verdict for sure.
Colin Kalmbacher, thank you so much for joining us. Great reporting. We can't wait to have you back on. Now, I will be signing off, but Bob Bianchi will be signing in, and he's going to guide you through the next chapter of all of these cases, including Jeffrey Willis. Stay tuned.